Hey, Composer Gloves here, and today we are looking at general sound design in drum and bass. Now, to start this off, I have a whole bunch of little demos of some typical sound design, but I want to let you know that there's no rules. Like, if you can make it a cool sound, you can do it. So I've got some general things that happen here, but as I'm going to be diving into these things much more individually and in specialized cases when we get into the subgenres and we're producing tracks and things of that nature. However, for here, this is what we're going to be dealing with for now, is just these sort of little mini examples just to give you an idea of what you're in for. Now, again, if you can make it sound crazy, then you're good to go. People will resample stuff. That's one that I don't have represented here. I mean, you can do anything. Just make it sound nuts, and as long as it grooves, you're good to go. So that's pretty much the rule. So I have tons of sound design on my channel, sound design with FM8, sound design with Citrus and Harmer. I'm working on others, and those will give you a lot of things because the more knowledge you have about synthesis, sound synth basics, that series, digital audio basics, just the more knowledge you have, the more you can apply it to drum and bass and get crazier. Now, a lot of times though, it will be simply a crazy sound with the drums, and then you have to, as long as you work it out in a way that is pleasing, you're going to be good to go. So here I've got the Reese, the melody. Okay, so here are different examples. So this first one is a Reese. This is a very typical drum and bass type sound. You can look up most of these concepts on my channel and you'll find something that covers them. This one would be metal rips if you're looking for breathy rips. But the Reese, I have videos on how to make Reeses and stuff. I recently did one in FM8. So here I've got a massive patch. It's simply the preset 99 Reese. Like, it's not even that crazy because I didn't want to get crazy yet. We're not going crazy yet. The other ones I actually made all from scratch, but this one I was like, I'll just use a preset. So, because nothing, again, this drum and bass, you can do whatever the freaking heck you want. Like, just make it great, you know? So here I've got it. It's got a glide time on it, so I take advantage of that with the glide up. It's just a little loop. And so I didn't mix it at all, so the drums sort of get buried a little bit, but that's fine. Sometimes that's the feel you get. You'll notice that with certain types of sound design, if you got a lot of bass you're relying on, you're going to have to settle for a kick that's got a lot less bass to make that. You got to like start making compromises. We'll talk about that later though. So here we've got the Reese. So obviously there would be breaks and stuff and a lot more interesting things, but the general concept is right there and it's pretty simple and you could easily turn that into a drop. So that's the Reese. I have videos on how to make Reeses elsewhere. So now this one's the melody. You'll notice a lot of stuff, especially with like Liquid Funk. They will do stuff like this. They'll have a big sub and then like some sort of a melody on top, and it will be a lot less bass, but a lot less bass sound design. It'll be mostly sub, and they'll also tend to mess with the sub. So I kind of do that here. Now it's just a loop. So, but you can imagine there's a lot of room for growth just off of this simple concept. So a lot of times they'll build up, do all this stuff, and then the drums will come in and it will be all about the drum mixing. I don't have that represented here. I just have the idea of the melody and the bass, but the drum mixing will be usually very crisp and clear. There'll be lots of little details you can stick out and you can pick up on. So that's sort of what makes that genre very interesting, is usually the kick just hits in a way that's just like, oh my gosh, such a clean kick. So here is a little bit of that without the amazing drum mixing. So you can hear, like, now we didn't even vary it, and we could put in lots of other things, and you could add in a lot more stuff. This would also be a good chance to maybe experiment with breakcore with something like this. They tend to do stuff yeah. So anyways, Liquid and breakcore, I feel like, have some crossing grounds that if you could do Liquid really well, you would have I think you'd have an easier time getting into breakcore. Okay, so, and I'm looking at like the typical drum and bass. Like, I was listening to a lot of UKF drum and bass. That one with the circle. Yeah, that one. Hospital Records, that kind of stuff. This is good stuff. So, okay. This one is your typical, so this is the chord stabs. So chord stabs and some rips. And these rips are also sort of lasers. A lot of times you run into lasers. So this one was accomplished via FM. So go check out my FM's synthesis designs, and I also have a whole series on FM synthesis in case you're curious about how this stuff works. So yes, go check that one out. I also have a couple sounds on how to do similar things with in my sounds like, where people request sounds and I do them. However, I've been trying to do less of those and more of these types of things because I feel like these are far more useful and implementable tutorials. So this one has some interesting bass. I've got here's some of the laser action going on down here. And I've got a chord stab, which is just Harmor. And go just look up chords in the Harmor Sound Design with Harmor series. And I just have the unison all the way up, some reverb. I do have some post distortion going on. Some of this stuff isn't as clean as it looks. This is more of a look at the general sound design. Again, we're not doing the sound design necessarily as just getting our heads around what are some of the concepts that are things. So here's this example. So this is one that obviously I have a lot of room to do additional things. I might change the break, and the drum mixing is also exceptionally important. I'm automating the filter here on this patch, and it is also got a ton of resonance. I could move this resonance around to really get a dynamic patch, and I also have the global EQ, which is making a big difference. There's a log distortion, which is giving me that raw, like that bite that I have. And the harmonizer is also playing a very large role in the timbre because you're distorting the upper end of things. And so when you move it around, it changes quite a bit. So this is a sound that obviously you build up to. And when you drop it, you're just like, like you just go crazy and you create maybe a unique kick. You wouldn't necessarily loop something like this. I noticed in a lot of songs that have a drop style like this, their kick styles usually line up with the rips so that the rips, boom, 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 something, the kicks line up better. But anyways, I'm just sticking with the same loop so you can see sort of similar concepts. This one, look up Metal Wobbles if you care about this one. It's a very popular one. It's almost like, I feel like drum and bass had future bass way before future bass ever had future bass. You know what I'm saying? Because we were way into that wobbly, big, spacious thing. Atmospheric, deep, drum and bass, that kind of a thing. This is sort of that concept. And here I'm using FM, of course, and it is a metal wobble. It sounds like this. So that's what we have going here. And when I combine it with my loop and a couple of carefully planned MIDI notes and a little bit of automation from X, you get this. Oh, I missed the last beat. That's not cool. Now that's a sound. I mean, like some of that drum and bass stuff is so cool, like so great. Now, obviously, that's not like future bassy type stuff, but I've definitely heard deep drum and bass, whatever you want to call it. That definitely sounds like sort of like future bass ripped it off from there. So, okay, what's going on here? Well, this is a serial relationship if you really want to know how to make this sound. And what I did here that was kind of unique is I messed with the way X is modulated. And I also have, this is sort of a more rare thing. This is responsible for the timbre I'm getting largely, this 4, because it's in the middle. So it's getting modulated here, and it's also being turned on and off slightly. Largely a product of having somewhat of an idea of what I was doing and then moving it. It's also being off the harmonic it's been modulated just slightly off the harmonics of the fundamental so that we create a metallic texture. That was another move that gave me sort of the metal sound. Here I do it again. And these ones were sort of specified specifically because I didn't want to do like 15. I didn't want that sort of a sound because there are different timbres you get if you choose different ratios. And so I wanted it to be close to the ratio of the fundamental, but not like quite it. So I ended up settling on this. If that all went over your head, you need to learn FM synthesis. And so go check out my Learn FM Synthesis series. And then I have one for like Citrus and for FM8. Those are generally the ones people use. So, and they're good for just learning the principles too. Because once you know that, you can pretty much take it to anything. So anyways, I'm modulating X and the smoothing is off. And then I have some reverb on in post. This sound actually has a bit going on in post. I'm compressing it. And then I did not compress the low end because I didn't need to. And here is the reverb. There's some general reverb, delay. This is the reverb. This is the reverb. And then this is the EQ. I generally boosted it because The high end needed help, and this is responsible. This number 4 here is responsible for the middle tone that you get. Without it, it's not there. So it helps bring that out a little bit. So it's just a small move. Here over here, we've got samples. Now, sample usage is like a freaking art. I did not get too crazy here. This right here is a gospel choir, but it's off because it's part of a vocoder setup. So I'm using vocodecs in this case, FO12 effects, if you want to know about vocodecs. But I also explain in the fruity vocoder video just what a vocoder is in general. And I also have one on the my free VSTs, which will also explain vocoding. I'm going to be referencing a lot of other stuff because a lot of this, the reason I'm approaching these things now is because now I have a base of content that I can refer you to, so I don't have to spend all my time explaining things that you should know from other places. For example, all this sound design stuff. So the gospel choir, I have a gospel library choir thing. Go online, just look up free gospel samples. There's a cool free sample website. I forgot what it's called. If I don't put the description in the video, someone just comment, hey, what's that cool free sample website? One day I may even do a video on it because it's seriously that great. You could get so many freaking cool samples from there for free. Also, this break beat you could get for free too. Just look up like free breaks, free break beats, and you will come across plenty of sites that hand them out. I can't give this one away. It's not mine to give. So sorry about that. So now these other ones are samples that I have paid for. They're part of industrial packs from Black Octopus. This thing over here, SOAR TFM. I bought it. It was cool. Yeah, they have lots of cool stuff. I use these sort of electro EMI fields. They're down here. That one. I think I even used that exact sample too. Yeah, I used two. And over here I have a Cyborg Voice. And so this is just, you could resample stuff and do all sorts of things, but I kind of wanted to make this a quick thing. This can get really in depth and the mixing can go crazy. So I just wanted to show you that you can turn any sorts of samples into some sort of a drop if you're creative enough. So this was originally a gospel choir. These were all free, but you got to go to that website that I was talking about earlier. But I used it as a vocoder and then I dropped it in here with this harmor, which you can't hear either, but it's basically just a distorted saw wave that's on cue. That's pretty much it. It's going into vocodecs. Vocodecs has a couple of interesting things happening in it. The band distribution is very specific. The band number and the order is specific. Now this is all just filter decisions basically. It's all just changing how the vocoder interprets the filters. Other than that, it's not really that crazy. The modulator is obviously the voice, and the carrier is obviously the sound I have, the big saw wave. And then this, I'm not modulating this. I can move these things around to get other timbres. This particular sample was giving me boomy textures, so I had to be a little bit careful about where I set things. I thought it turned out pretty cool. Here is this break. Now, I still have lots of room for layering. I could definitely introduce concepts a little bit different, but I got something that kind of grooves like da, 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 da. Now, some of the things, the notes that they settle on, they sound too high. It could be fixed easily if I just put in a separate sub and it would sound a lot more low. People would be tricked into thinking that there's a lower tone. On my music theory from the ground up, or MIDI music theory, you guys probably interested in MIDI music theory. I talk about the inversions and what voicing is. Those two videos, how the lowest tone in a chord determines the inversion regardless of what's going on above the chord. That same principle applies in sound design. When you hear a lowest tone, that's like your fundamental frequency. That determines, like, who cares what's going on up top? It's all about whatever's happening in that lowest tone most of the time. There's weird exceptions, but in fact, they're so weird that I don't ever really even talk about them because they hardly ever come up. So that's that. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day. Today is a Sounds Like video. This is the sound I attempted to make. It's by Goja. Goja, and it's called Ram. And this is mine. Now give it some listen. Separate it from the drums and stuff. The pitch, I suspect, is a ratio.